Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXT Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. This one is going to be hot. This one is going to be spicy, and I definitely think it's going to be absolutely special. What am I talking about? The women's 100 meters that will be coming up on September the 5th in just a few days. September the 5th, the Zurich Diamond League. We have a stellar women's 100 meter lineup that will kick off. That will feature actually six of the finalists that were placed at the Paris Olympic Games. So we're talking about two of the medalists plus additional placers there. And I definitely think, as I said, this one is going to be absolutely special. So to kick things off, we're just going to go through the lineup. Julien Alfred is there. Dina Asher-Smith is there. Gina Bass-Bitai is there. Tina Clayton. Tamari Davis. Mujinga Kambunji, Daryl Nita, Sha'carri Richardson, and Marie Josie Talu Smith. So those are the athletes that are in the lineup. As I said, six of these athletes were placings or finishers in the women's 100 meter finals. Who jumps out at you? Well, clearly the Olympic champion, Julien Alfred, really jumps out at you. And of course, Sha'carri Richardson. I definitely think this race is going to be extremely hot. And a lot of people have a lot of thoughts as it relates to what potentially happened in Paris and what could have been. And I think this race for sure will, give you some key indicators as it relates to whether or not something could have did go so. You know what I mean? And of course, from a Jamaican perspective, we're definitely looking out to see what Tia Clayton will be able to do on the back of her 10.83. Even though it was done in a positive 2.9 meters per second wind, still want to see if she'll be able to carry through the rest of the season and continue to do well. So first and foremost, right off the bat, trackies, I'm just gonna say a few of the athletes. Clearly this is pretty much how I call these races typically. I tend to focus on a select few. It's interesting because, as I said, six of these people were in the 100 meter final, so it's hard to select on just a select few or focus on a select few when everybody in this race has been performing so well. But it is what it is. I'm going to be focusing on the top placers, right, or who I believe will be in the top finishers, right. Let's start with Tia Clayton. I'm definitely excited for her. What we've learned clearly is that her, in terms of her executing, she doesn't always get it right. That's a fact. We've seen where the start pops one time and then it doesn't pop the other time. So with that being said, and given what she said after her last outing as well with the 10.83, that she's only looking to try her best, do her best. That's all I'm asking for, honestly. Yes, we realize that if she gets the perfect race, then certain times can be reached or achieved by her this season. But everything is down to execution, and she's still learning, right? Still, new to crafting her race pattern. So with that being said, I think this is going to be a great outing for her. I'm just hoping that she just focuses on herself. Forget who is in the race. You know what I mean? We saw at the Olympic finals as well, where she did get nervous, right? She got what I thought would have been a flyer, but she ended up tripping, right? And yeah, the nerves really did get the best of her, so she wasn't able to, execute her best race. Five of her fellow compatriots that were in that race are also here. So from a nerves perspective, yeah, this is going to be a high intensity race, right? But I'm just hoping that she just focuses on herself and literally just tries to do her best, because if she does her best, then she'll definitely be in one of the top placings for me personally. But again, the form, or as it relates to the execute, not really the form, but the execution is on and off, sometimes when it comes to Tia Clayton. Now, somebody that's always solid, Tamari Davis, always solid in races. So as much, Mujinga Kambunji, the mere fact that she made it to an Olympic final, again, she's always making global championships finals. So that goes to tell you or show you that, yeah, she's always executing good races. Daryl Nita is also an on and off person. Today you get a good race from her. The next time you don't. So it's hard to really pinpoint exactly what kind of performance I'm really expecting from a Daryl Nita. And then there's Dina Asher-Smith in this race. Loved her last outing, right? For sure, that 10.88 clocking. Was looking for that Dina at the Olympic Games. I kept, saying that she seems to me to be in great shape, especially over the 100 meters. Didn't materialize in, Paris, didn't make the finals, but we definitely saw her get a flyer in her last outing. And I was like, dang, she left everybody for DEAD. I was a little shocked. I knew the start was, firing based on, what she was doing heading into the Olympic Games. And of course, as well, her running on the 4x1. But that start was absolutely phenomenal. Actually, I'd have loved to see what that start would have looked like against a peak Shelley. Just the start alone, not the rest of the race, because clearly the time is 10.88. So not anything close to what Shelley has done at her best, which is 10.60. But I'd love to see what that actual start looked like against one of the best starters, the Rocket, Shelley, and Fraser Price. That being said, I'm expecting Dina Asher-Smith to, feature well in this race, although I have to say sometimes it feels as though when she's running against Julian Alfred, she doesn't run her best race. So with that being said, I'm kind of confused now. I don't know if we'll be getting a good run from Dina. Now that I'm thinking about it, considering that Julian Alfred is in this race. All right, so the heavy hitter. Okay, Mary Jose Talu is also there. Apologies. I think she'll be there or thereabouts as well. In this race, not clearly in the best of shape, and also, still trying to worm her way back into, running well, even though it's the end of the season. So these, athletes are literally hanging on to the last tethers, right? But yeah, I think we'll get a good run out of her. Will she place in top 3? I don't know. Let's see, when I come down to my final decision, right? So the big guns, the big heavy hitters, clearly the Olympic medalists, Sha'carri Richardson and Julian Alfred. Julian Alfred, the Olympic champion, and Sha'carri Richardson, the silver medalist, also the world champion in the 100 meters last season as well, right? This is going to be very, very interesting, as I said, because Julian Alfred is on an absolute high. Olympic champion, 10.72 seconds. Absolutely, perfect race. That was the best I've ever seen her execute a race outside of, I believe, when she was in Kingston. I remember when she was in Kingston and she clocked that 10.78. It was the first time I felt like she put a race together. Sometimes it's the start that works, or sometimes, most times it's her start, that's really working for her, but she never really was able to tap that, last phase on to the first 60. Well, she got it right in Kingston, and then she got it right again, for me in Paris to run a new national record, 10.72. So she's coming in an absolute high. Haven't seen her since the Olympic Games, so I'm not really sure what type of shape she's in. But what I do know is that she's an absolute fighter, right? And she's not scared as well of competition. So I believe that, coming into this race, she's definitely going to be putting her best foot forward. Then there is now Sha'carri Richardson, silver medalist at the Olympic Games. Surprising to many, including myself, given how well she was looking heading into the Olympic Games. I don't believe she went into the Olympic Games in the type of shape that I did see her. Or let's put it this way: the type of shape she was in last year, with that 10.65, that's not the shape that she was in 2024. I think that's very clear, even though she has a 10.71 clock in, right? So I remember, though, leading into the finals, there was an issue in terms of her getting to warm up, especially for the semifinals, and heading into the finals as well. Her start, I don't know, her start looks like it has deteriorated for me personally. It's not even about pressure anymore and her not executing, her starts. Her starts does look like they've gotten poorer and poorer, right? So, which ultimately led to her getting a silver medal. If she had gotten a better start, there would definitely be enough fight on Julian Alfred's hand for that gold medal. But that being said, we can't change what happened in the past, and it is what it is. So that's how I really sum up that race here. So it'll be interesting to see if Sha'carri Richardson is smarting from that loss, because again, coming in from 2023, I guess the world may have thought, especially the American side, that she'll be dominating the sprints, and especially with the Jamaican big guns out, little was standing in Sha'carri Richardson's way, to get that gold medal, except one Julian Alfred, for sure. So let's see if she'll be trying to get revenge in a certain sense in this race. So my final placings for this race, interestingly, I'm going to give the race to Julian Alfred, and I'm going to tell you why. Julian Alfred gets this race for me. She's the Olympic champion. She's on a high, as I said. Definitely always been, a race bully as well. Never scared of the big names and the big competition, and has always, in my opinion, especially post championship, she's been in and around what she's run at the championship, right? So she's pretty interestingly, even as a collegiate, has been able to carry her season, very, very long. I remember, years on years when she was collegiate, and the thought process was, will she be able to carry through? And she's always managed to maintain her shape throughout the championships, throughout the rest of the season. So I'm expecting her, especially after a little rest, to come back and still, be, firing, and also, prove to the world that yes, I am indeed the best. It was no fluke, right? That's my expectation for Julian Alfred. Now for Sha'carri Richardson, if she was at her best, then I definitely think should have, challenged a bit more. But also, when it comes to Sha'carri Richardson and after championship, she's never really carried through her form. I don't know if it's because she's already on that high, and to come back on the circuit, a lot of athletes are like, okay, I've already done the big job. I've already gotten a medal. There's no need for me to come back and be on that absolute high I was on, at a championship. And I've looked at her, previous years ending, and it's never the same as when she was at the USA Championships or when she's at the global championships. Never been the same. You know what I mean? So my expectation actually is not to see Sha'carri Richardson run anything, faster than or fast enough, let's put it that way, to challenge a Julian Alfred that I still believe is in 10-7 shape, right? I don't think she'll be running anything fast enough to challenge her. So with that being said, yeah, that's my reasoning, because again, previous data has shown that Sha'carri Richardson, after a championship, just pretty much ends the year, as far as I'm concerned, in her brain, right? So yeah, so I'm gonna go with Julian for the win. Sha'carri Richardson should be there for second. Okay, Dina. I want to say Dina for third, but my problem is that Dina sometimes, or most of the times, ever since this whole Julian Alfred situation, doesn't seem to run her best race when Julian is in the race. So I don't know. I want to call her for third, but it's, I'm weary at this particular point. Tia Clayton, I'm hoping that she'll be in the conversation. I'm hoping she just runs her race, forgets everybody, runs her race. I think first and second should be pretty clear as well. Then again, if Sha'carri Richardson is in worse shape than we thought, maybe it won't be as good. But if she's in, in and around where she was at the Olympic Games, I expect her to be slightly slower, but still, I think first and second is very clear. When it comes to the third place now, I think that's between Dina, I'm gonna say Tia, and I'm also gonna throw in Mary Jose Talu Smith, as well as Tamari Davis. She can always surprise. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to go. So top three, or at least top two, are in my mind, it's pretty clear. So that's Julian and Sha'carri. Then I'm gonna say Tia, Dina, and Tamari, as well as Mary Jose Talu, battle it out for the third place spot. Right, there are, different pros and cons to every athlete, so it all depends on execution at this particular point. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I definitely think it's going to be very, very interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.